fact, it normally takes a couple minutes to really get started. So bear with us as we kind of wait for everything to happen here. So I normally share the video. If, like I said, if you're watching this after the fact and you want to share it, that would be awesome. Looks like YouTube just went down. Is it just me? Maybe it is just me. Here we go. Alrighty. So if you're on here, let me know that you're here. Let me know how everything is going. Big Dog's in the house. Got a few other people here. Bear with me. I'm just sharing this on Facebook. Okay, we're almost there. Facebook recently changed a couple things. So, like my Kittanning Greatest City in the World page, for some reason, like they gave it its own profile. So, it's really odd. I have to like log in. Sometimes, like if I want to do something through that page, I have to like switch profiles. It's really weird. But anyways, so tonight I want to talk about the next generation and kind of how we underestimate the next generation and maybe why we do that and how we can shift how we raise our children, shift how we think about the neighborhood kids that are around us. And I think we would. I think we would not shift our mentality or our thinking to our great peril. That's always true. That's been true of every generation in human history. If you're not pouring into the next generation positivity, if you're not pouring into them good things, good hopes for the future, if you're not building them as people, if you're not discipling them, so to speak, then you are sowing the seeds of your own destruction. And that's true in the household, it's true in cities, it's true in nations. And I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's just kind of the natural way that things go, but our media, our government, our society in general, we like to just tear one generation apart at the expense of all of us. It doesn't make any sense. We've been doing it to millennials. I mean, I'm a millennial. We've been doing it to millennials for 10 years now on how worthless and lazy millennials are. I mean, I don't want to say anything about myself, but I mean, I feel like I could work anybody in the world under the table. So I don't, it is what it is. And that's not me bragging. It's just like I'm a person, just like every other person. And so I have the ability to work hard just like anyone else can. And I think millennials work different, and Generation Z is going to work different than millennials do. But I see in the next generation beautiful, wonderful things. And so to just kind of start with just an anecdote, Brian says, speak life. Yeah, I mean, gosh, so important, right? We should not speak death over anyone, any individual or any generation, and certainly not our own communities. Terry hops on just to say hi. Good to see you, Terry. But anyways, just a quick anecdotal story. A couple months ago, actually, my daughter Abigail and we started reading through. I get the Epic Times and I get the local newspaper, and then I bring them home, and they have like Epic Times has a really wonderful like family and tradition section. They have cool food sections and lifestyle sections and that kind of stuff. But this one, let me look at what it's actually called. It is life and tradition. The life and tradition section is fantastic. So I let my kids kind of peruse the paper with me, and if they see a headline or a picture that kind of strikes their interest, then we'll stop and read the story. And so try to do that. I don't do it as much as I should, but I try to do that kind of stuff with them because I want them to be passionate about knowledge and learning and all those different kinds of things. So the story caught their eye. It just had a picture of kids, and the kids were like doing chores or helping around the house or something, and she was like, I want to read that one. And so we read it, and it was about how positive doing chores is for children and how it teaches them life skills. And it was a really great article, and I couldn't have asked for better information to give to my 8-year-old daughter at the time. And so after we were done, she goes, Dad, I want to do that. I said, okay, that's awesome. What do you think you'd want to do? And she wasn't quite sure. And I said, well, how about if you just did one thing every day? Just one thing. And if you could accomplish one chore every day, that would be an immense help to your mom and to me and to the whole family. You'd really be making an impact for the whole family. It'd be a blessing to all of us. And so she said she wanted to do that. And Joanna, my 6-year-old daughter, she said she wanted to do that as well. Since then, Lily, our third daughter, has kind of got on board. But this is what they do every week, okay? Listen to this. Monday, they dust the entire house as a team. On Tuesdays, they vacuum the carpets and the baseboards. They do the baseboards like around the house, dust the baseboards. On Wednesdays, they vacuum the hard floors and do the baseboards. On Thursday, they gather all the laundry. Mom actually does the laundry with the washer and dryer. But afterwards, they gather it, they sort it, then they fold it and put it away after the laundry is done. On Friday and Saturday, they do the dishes once on each day, and Sunday is another laundry day. So they do the same thing they did for Thursday. So you can imagine those kinds of chores, like those are real chores. Those are real things around the house that they now do every week and have done every week for the past several months. It's amazing. And I think a lot of parents, myself included, we don't understand how quickly kids can learn, how hard they are willing to work. By the way, their only benefit to that is that they know that they have a stake in the family. And that's what that article was about. They weren't getting paid, they weren't doing any of that kind of stuff. The kids were knowing that they were valuable to the family, that they could contribute, that they had something to give. And I think that's like one of our most like deep-seated human nature things. We want to be valuable to the world around us. I've heard it said this way. Two of our greatest needs as human beings are to know and to be known. We want to know other people, and specifically know and have a relationship with God is like the most deep-seated one, and then to be known. And I think God kind of satisfies that for us as well when we get to know Him, when we start to understand how He knows how many hairs are on your head, how He knows He knew you, He knit you together in your mother's womb. We start to read those scriptures and we really start to feel known. But then even within the context of other relationships, we want to know other people and we want to be known. We want to like have a place, have a part. And I think the next generation, that's all they're looking for. And when we see all of these bad kids that are around town or doing silly things that probably you and I did as well, by the way, we see that around, and my mindset is shifting more and more. I mean, I always knew that they had value, but as I'm seeing it happen in my own children's lives, I'm seeing these kids in our neighborhoods crying out, not just for direction, but for a place. They want to know that they're valued. They want to know that they can contribute. Like, they want to have the opportunity to prove that. And that's happened over and over again in my time in Kittanning, as I've gotten to know some different kids in town through the videos and through my trips to the high school and all those kinds of things. They are hardworking. They are not. I wouldn't say talented in the like they're not good at woodworking and painting and all of these things because they've never done it. They're like you and I were the first time we did those things. But at the same time, they're extraordinarily talented when it comes to technology, and they're very quick learners when it comes to any of that other stuff. I think just the way that their brains are wired, they're kind of like we're we're basically building little engineers if we will take the time and pour into that gift. We're going to have a generation that is very good at problem solving. So, anyways, then I read this article. It just was in the paper this last week. I'll try to put it in the description as well. But it was about tackling chores again. It said tackling chores, teaching humility. And so the author of the article kind of argued that when children do chores, it creates a humility in them, like they won't be self-centered because they don't feel like they're above doing chores. I do agree with that a little bit, but I don't think that that's primarily the thing that we should be after. And what really struck me in the article most was the value of doing chores alongside your children. And I really found that to be true. To take the time to teach a child something can be quite frustrating as a parent and just as a human being, okay? For example, when they were dusting as a team, 2 weeks in a row, they knocked same picture, off of the wall, and the second time broke it. They had to kind of go through that process. They had to, get messy and make some mistakes, in the words of Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. They had to get after it, and they had to get dirty, and they had to learn. That's frustrating as parents and as people because when we allow young people to do things, they're not as good at it as we are because they don't have the experience that we do. But they'll never get it unless you give them opportunity and show them, work alongside them, and correct them when they're wrong. The first time my kids folded clothes, the way that they fold them is not as beautiful as the way that I fold them. Just natural part of life, right? I could get frustrated and say, well, just let me do it. You go do something else, or put them in front of a TV show and allow them to, just melt away in that way. But that's not at all helpful to them, and ultimately it's not at all helpful to me. My kids have gotten consistently better at it. I started them with just stacking up the underwear, their own underwear, and then they would fold socks. And then we folded pants, and now they can fold shirts, and now they can fold everyone's. And my oldest daughter, it'd be very difficult for an outside person to tell whether I folded them or whether she did. And she picked that up in a very, very short amount of time. And now, if I don't want to help or if I have something else to do, she's very happy and satisfied to do it on her own. And guess what? She is now a teacher of the three others. So when the other ones have a question of how to fold a shirt, or how do I fold this dress, or how do I do this or do that, she has the answers that she got from me that I know are correct. And she is, as the oldest, she's very willing to enforce all of the rules and standards. But anyways, so I think for us, our society is very short-term oriented. We worry about how we're going to look to the outside world way more than we should, and we worry about just, we get caught up in the busyness of life, I'll put it that way. And if you don't have the time to kind of take a step back and pour into the people around you, especially the younger people around you, we are only shooting ourselves in the foot. We're gonna be staring down a city and a nation that is even more devoid of leadership than it already is. And so we have to begin pouring into our young people, both in your own family, in the community at large, and yeah, and just throughout the world. We have to keep that kind of at the forefront of our conversation. So, anyways, I don't have some kind of big plan, but I do know that I'm going to try to be reaching out to some younger people that I know and seeing if we can get them involved with the garden. My opportunities to work with the homeschool kids this year has been amazing. And I know that they're going to do a great job from here on out. And it's so cool to like build something with these kids because they're gaining skills. Some of them have never run a drill before, and then they get to do it for the first time, and it's like a revelation to them, and they understand, oh, I can do that. I can, and all those little nuggets are like building a castle out of a Lego house. You're just building brick by brick, and when you start, it doesn't look like much, but pretty soon, as it begins to come together, you realize, wow, I've really got something here. And so, man, we have to pour into them. And it's not just like, it's not just for them. Like, even if it was just purely selfish, it's still worth doing. In our own lives, it took me some extra time, and it takes my wife some extra time to sit down and show them how to do things, right? And it's time that in the moment we really don't have. Time is tight, especially when you have children. You're trying to accomplish a million other things, and all that kind of stuff happens. But if we are not willing to take that time, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. Like it said, if it was purely selfish motive, it's still worth taking the time to show them, because now I have a teammate, now I have a partner, now I have someone else who knows how to do that task that I'm trying to accomplish. And so when the kids can do the dusting, and when they can do the vacuuming, and when they can put away and fold and sort their own laundry, like all of those things are now tasks that have the potential to be off of our list. And so it's an amazing blessing to be able to do that. Plus, it's very rewarding for them. According to the author of the article here, it's also, it teaches them not to be selfish. I think it teaches them self-esteem too. And man, I really loved that previous article on how it taught them that they're valuable, that they can contribute, that they're part of the family, that they're more than just a slave master, so to speak, like kids can become. If you've had children, and like, I don't know, nothing drives me crazier that when a child has a drink right next to them and then they ask you to get it for them and you're in another room. Like that kind of laziness, I just can't put up with. And so we have to start instilling these things in our kids and in the next generation at large. So that's my challenge to you. If you have the availability, we have all kinds of things in our community that would be awesome to get your kids involved in. We're planning for Summer of Serve coming up over the next couple months. We'll be beginning that in June, but we'll have announcements over the next couple months. We're going to start on the garden as soon as we have permission to start tearing that thing up. And so the garden is going to be an awesome opportunity for you, for your family, for any kids that you know to come and get connected to it and with it and learn some life skills, learn some practical things, and understand that they have value for their community. And there's a million other things too. Like you come up with your own thing. Go out and pick trash for the day along the trail. Go get a beautiful walk. Go get some time with the Lord in creation. And at the same time, do some good for your community. You can teach like 5 different lessons on that walk. Not just life skills, but relational skills, spiritual information, and community service, all wrapped into one beautiful moment. You have to look for those things, and we got to go after it. I think that's probably about all I have to say about it. But it was just, I'm trying to this is over time. I've been trying to shift these live streams into me more just, I guess, talking about things that I care about. It doesn't necessarily have to be all about Kittanning all the time. And so this is my opportunity to preach at you without having my Bible open. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, Brian's in the house. Brian says, our children are mirrored images of us, sometimes magnified. Oh man, that's good stuff. And so that's so true too. a lot of times when my kids have a bad day, a lot of times it's because I'm having a bad day at the same time. I'm not being a very good parent. I'm not being a very good leader. I'm not doing my part to make it a good thing for them, and it reflects on them. Magnified is a beautiful way to put it too. And a lot of times, when we're proud of our kids, you know, there's a pride in it for them. Of course, we're proud of who they're becoming, but at the same time, there should be a little bit of pride in us, right? Like we should have a little bit of pride in, like, hey, maybe I played a part in some of that. And I think a lot of times that is why parents are so proud of their children. So that's really cool. I love the magnified as well because Pastor Luke, he tells us sometimes, or he said it before, whatever you do, yeah, whatever you do in excess, your children will do in moderation, and whatever you do in moderation, your children will do in excess. And I've always thought about that a lot, but it's kind of like the little sins that you allow in your own life, your children are going to magnify those. And yeah, anything that you try to kind of shove down their throats, that you try to do in excess to them, you're going to make them hate it, and they're not going to want to do that stuff anymore. And so I always kind of think about that in the back of my mind sometimes when I'm trying to push my kids to do stuff. Like I try to push them to come out and help me in the garden, or like force them to do it. That never works out well, and it just makes them not want to do it the next time. So I let them come out, I let them do the thing that they wanted to do, and then if they ask me to go play, then I let them go play. And then the next time, sometimes they want to help me longer, or sometimes after they've gone and played and did their thing for 15 minutes, they come back and help me again. And so just trying to find that right balance for how much to pour into them without pushing them too far and kind of destroying their zeal. Brian also says, gifts and the patience that may surpass ours, especially with technology. Yes, the next generation I mean, the truth of it is that they're just people, right? And people can go good or people can go bad, depending on the life and the, sometimes circumstances surrounding their life. But a lot of times, it's just the mindset, right? Like, do they believe that they're valuable? Do they believe that they have something to offer the world? And once you kind of catch that fire, once God lights something inside of you, any one of us has way more power to affect the world around us than we realize. We have way more power than we currently believe, no matter what you believe. And I know that to be true in my own life and in people around me. I've seen it happen too many times now. But yeah, they have, of course, some special giftings as well. Like they were raised on technology. They intuitively understand things that I struggle with. And certainly Generation X and baby boomers, they're in a whole different situation technologically. Whereas a baby boomer might have to spend a week trying to learn something. I might be able to do it in a couple days because I've seen something similar. And then some of these kids that are coming up, they would just know. They just have it intuitively. And so, yeah, it's a lot less work for them on some of those levels. And once again, all the more reason to inspire them, all the more reason to give them something to shoot for, all the reason for us to show them their value. Because when they know that they're valued and they have a goal to shoot for, they're going to be able to apply those gifts and talents and technological knowledge to come up with more creative solutions than you and I are currently capable of. And until we bring them into the conversation, the entire totality of our potential will not be realized. We have to bring them into the fold. Ask Ives in the house. Good to have you, my man. Side note, your wife asked a couple questions for the live stream last week, and I was trying to maybe make a live stream tonight out of that topic, but I didn't make it yet. But I'm still kind of ruminating over it. But her question was, what are 3 things you hate about being a pastor and 5 things you love about being a pastor? And I thought, man, that would make a good standalone live stream topic. So I'm putting those things together, and that will probably be on a live stream in the coming weeks. But tonight, it was all about the children. So, all about the next generation, not only in my own household, but in our community. And so, I'm just going to leave it at that. If you guys have any other comments on this topic, I'd be more than happy to hear them out. And if you have any ideas, we need to. There are a lot of parents that just aren't going to do this. It's just the reality of it. And we have to begin to reach out to some of these kids that are, I call them kind of the lost kids. They're not being raised at home, or they're not being raised in a way that is going to lead them anywhere good. But that doesn't mean that one light into their lives can't change everything forever. And so if you guys have, if you and I have the opportunity to help them along on this journey called life, and we don't take it, man, we're going to have to answer for that someday. We got to go after the next gen. Brian asks, are there any kids helping you with your new properties? There's a couple that potentially will be, yeah. I mean, it's very, it's tricky to turn a kid loose on a construction project, but I do have a couple guys that are my age that are helping me out right now. But there are a couple kids that wanted to learn some stuff, especially there's one he's a good painter, and so we're coming up on the painting, and I was going to offer him to go there on the painting days and learn some skills, and to ply his trade and see if he can learn some things. He expressed a desire to me a while ago. He was like, "Hey, how do you buy a house?" He's like, "I feel like I could buy a house and live in it and fix it up, and then I could maybe sell it for some more money." And he came up with that idea kind of on his own. I was like, "Yeah, that's called flipping a house. People do it all the time." And he was like, "Really? That's a thing?" I was like, "Yeah, man, it's really a thing, and you could totally do that. But in the meantime, you should start like doing projects, doing different things that you can, learn some skills. And as you gain that knowledge, the more things that you can do yourself in that process, you're going to make more money in the end." And so he already has that kind of entrepreneurial mindset, and he has obviously a passion for it. So, like, let's turn him loose. But so much of that is individual too. We got to get to know these kids. We got to get to know their personalities and their talents and their individual gifts, and then we have to unleash our creative ability to turn them loose on things that are going to affect change around them, so that they can, once again, understand their value. So I'm rambling and repeating myself now, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you're watching this after the fact, feel free to leave comments below, and I'll be more than happy to take a look at them. I try to answer all of them. I haven't been great at it lately, but I do read all of them. So at the very least, you'll be providing some value and insight to me, and you'll be providing value and insight to those other people as they come and watch this afterwards. So totally appreciate you guys. This was supposed to be a 15-minute thing, and we're at 28 minutes, but hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Hope you had a great start to your week today. First day of spring. Man, could not have asked for better weather. I put a post on Instagram of my kids. They were outside playing in the water on March 21st. Like, that's wild. And they were loving it. And my comment to that was, man, we do not deserve days like these. It's a beautiful life. We have this opportunity to live. So make sure to take advantage of it. These next few days look like they're going to be just as beautiful, if not more so. So get outside, enjoy creation. Springtime is here, my friends, and it's going to be a wonderful rest of the year. God bless you. See you in the next one.